Hey guys, welcome back to Team Player Gaming. In my last video, I told you guys that the Druid was one of the best classes to pick for the Shadowcaster archetype. Well, it's time to show my work. So here is Nature's Shadow. Let's dive in. For today's ancestry, we're going to be going with the Null ancestry. And we will be taking the 2 free boosts rather than the normal boost for Null. Because normally, Nulls get minus to Wisdom, and we're a Druid. So, that would be very bad. For our heritage, we're going to be going with the Tiefling heritage. As there is a couple of Tiefling feats we're going to need for this build. And of course, we are building a Druid, and for our order, we're going to go with the Animal order. As for this build, we definitely want access to that Shadow Hound Animal Companion. Unfortunately, we won't be able to pick it up at first level. But we will be able to pick it up at second level. I talked about the Shadow Hound a little bit in my Shadowcaster video. So you should definitely go check that out after this video. In the meantime though, starting stats for this build should be Strength 14, Dexterity 16, Constitution 12, Intelligence 10, Wisdom 16, and Charisma 10. Then obviously at first level we're going to get our Animal Companion feats. This will give us a young animal companion. To start off with, we can pick basically any animal companion we want. We are eventually going to be able to pick up our Shadow Hound, which is what we want. But unfortunately, we can't be a Shadowcaster until level 2. So unfortunately, we are going to have to wait 1 level before we can pick that up. But just about every animal companion will work for this build here, because we will eventually trade it out. But anyway, for our ancestry feat for level 1, we're going to take Null Weapon Familiarity. The Khopesh is going to be our melee weapon of choice. The main reason why is because it's a weapon that does good damage, and it has the trip traits. We're not going to be able to be stealthy or use our shadow spells to great effect all the time. And we do want the foe to be flat-footed. But with the Khopesh, we can trip opponents and carry a shield at the same time. We don't need a free hand to trip opponents and thus make them flat-footed. Another way we can make them flat-footed is flanking with our animal companion, but again, that's not always going to be an option. And tripping an opponent will make the foe flat-footed to everyone, not just us, thus making it a great option for this build. For level 2, we're going to be picking up Widen Spell. A lot of the spells that we want to cast with this build are going to have areas. As such, being able to increase those areas is always good. And of course, also at this level, we will take our Shadowcaster dedication. This will of course give us access to the Shadow Hound Animal Companion, but it will also give us the Cloak of Shadow Domain spell, allowing us to more easily slink through the shadows. We can also cast it on anyone else that wants to be sneaky as well. And then of course we come to level 3. And this is where I cover the general feats you want to take, because those you can take in pretty much any order you want. Longtime watchers of the channel will know the 3 feats I almost always take for general feats. But if you're new to the channel, I almost always take Toughness, Die Hard, and Canny Acumen for our lowest save, which for this build is going to be Fortitude. For this build, we're also going to need to pick up Fleet and Incredible Initiative, as both of those will help us be faster at the start and during combat, because we want those darkness spells up as quickly as possible, especially against enemies that don't have dark vision. At level 4, we'll pick up Mature Animal Companion to make our Shadow Hound a little bit tougher. And Shadow spells will give us access to quite a few spells that aren't on the primal list normally. Mainly shadow attack spells, but still. The point is, this feat makes us even more versatile with our spell list than the Druid already is. Before we get to the first team report, I should talk about our 5th level ancestry feat. We'll be picking up Pack Hunter, as its benefits are threefold for this build. First, it makes it easier for us to aid our allies, and it gives our allies an incentive to aid us. And finally, this feat does give us access to a feat that is going to help our allies stealth with us, which is highly important for this build. For today's first teamwork report, the first thing you should know is that this build is designed for melee and ranged combat, as we definitely have the strength and the constitution to go into melee combat with our Shadow Hound. However, we are a druid at the end of the day, which means we can stand back and cast spells if we want to. We do, however, also want to intimidate foes. I say that, but actually our main character isn't going to be the one intimidating foes. At least not most of the time. The thing about the Shadow Hound is that it's an excellent intimidation companion. That means while we do want to be increasing our intimidation skill, we don't really need to increase our charisma. Increasing our intimidation is just a backup in case our animal companion fails at intimidation. Because remember, if someone fails in intimidation, that means the enemy is only immune to their intimidation. Other people can 100% intimidate the opponent. Which means if we fail, our animal companion can pick up the slack. And if our animal companion fails, then we can pick up the slack. And even if, by some miracle, we actually fail on both intimidation checks, our allies can still intimidate the target. And eventually, someone's going to succeed. Whether it's us, or our animal companion, or a different party member. And at this point, remember, we can prepare Shadow Projectile, even though it's not normally on the primal list. Which is really going to help out our more ranged allies. At level 6, we're going to pick up Steady Spellcasting, because the last thing we want is for our spells to be disrupted. Then another reason we don't need to up our charisma for this build is because of the next feat, Disciple of Shade. This gives us the Inscrutable Mask focus spell, giving us a bonus on deception checks to lie or feint, intimidation checks to demoralize, and stealth checks to hide in areas of dim light or darkness. Then it's time for Eerie Environs. If we're hidden from a foe, then we can intimidate them without losing our hidden condition. We also don't take a penalty for the enemy not understanding our language when we do this. Then Shadow Spell will help us and our allies stealth better. For our level 9 Ancestry feat, we're going to go with Pack Stalker. This will give us the Terrain Stalker skill feat and the ability to extend its effects to our allies. Incredible Companion will make our Shadow Hound even tougher. And Shadow Reservoir will give us some spells we can cast spontaneously. Pick your favorite spells here. Then, this build has a lot of focus spells, so we're going to want to take Primal Focus to get our focus points back quicker. We're also going to want to pick up Shadow Magic here. And for this feat, we're going to want to pick up the Shadow Jump focus spell. We're probably not even trained in performance, so Dance of Darkness is completely off the table. For our level 13 Ancestry feat, this is when we start taking Tiefling feats. And we're going to pick up Fiendish Wings, because being able to fly without using a spell slot is always good. We will also want to pick out Specialized Companion for the same reasons that we're picking up the other Animal Companion feat. Unending Emptiness is just a must-take because Darklight is just that good of a spell. There isn't a great 16th level feat for this build, so you can take what you want on the non-free archetype side at that level. I went with Forgotten Presence because it fits the theme. And Shadow Illusion will distract our foes if we're in darkness. For our level 17 Ancestry feat, we're going to take Relentless Wings so we can fly all the time instead of just once per day for 10 minutes. And of course, we're going to need Primal Wellspring because lots of focus spells in this build. And Shadow Power will let us cast Shadow Blast as an innate spell, so we don't have to prepare it if we don't want to. It is only once per day though, so we may want to prepare it even though we can cast it as a spell. And finally, at level 20, we're going to take Apex Companion. And obviously, for the exact same reason, we're taking the other Animal Companion feats. And the last feat for this build is going to be Secrets of Shadow, giving us one more spell for our Shadow Reservoir. Again, pick one of your favorites. For Teamwork Report number 2, I'm going to start doing something new. I've gotten quite a few comments from people saying, well, what if you don't have free archetype? So I'm going to start covering that in this section of the video. Actually, after this video, I'll probably start covering it in Teamwork Report number 1. But for this build, if you don't have free archetypes, then the shadow stuff is off the table. But a druid can still 100% be stealthy. We've got good dex, and we're gonna still be wanting to up our stealth, especially for that Eerie Environs feat. But you also won't have access to the Shadow Hound animal companion, which means you're going to have to pick something else. You more than likely want to pick something that is good at intimidation for this build. But you could also pick something like the wolf that's good at tripping. Either way, this build can 100% work without the free archetype. Oh, and when we pick up our specialized companion, we're going to want to go with either Ambusher or Shade as the specialization. You could also go with Bully as its specialization as well. And that's going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed the build, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for even more teamwork builds like this. You can also check out the Patreon page for Google Sheets for this build and a whole bunch of other builds. If you want to learn more about the Shadowcaster archetype, you can check out this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, teamwork is vital.